Okay, welcome to the video. SIG Guy here, and I'm super excited to start making some new videos. It's been quite a while since I've actually put any videos together. The new website, sigguy.com, with the 3D printed stuff, the retail sales, the rebranding before that, everything all at once has made things pretty chaotic, but things are starting to settle down, and I'm pretty excited to actually start making some videos. So I just got this 229 Legion. It's all completely stock, and I thought, what a perfect time to actually start doing some more videos. So normally what I do is I cram this thing full of upgrades and I show people how awesome it is and how much of an improvement it's been. And then I get a lot of questions and private messages about what my upgrades were and what specifically did each upgrade do. So that way, that's why I want to do a video series this time, and I want to do one upgrade at a time and compare it to a factory SIG. So in this one, we're going to do the spring kit. We're going to start off with that, and then I'm going to show you what each spring, how much it improves the trigger in this 229 Legion. So I'm choosing the Legion because I post my 226 SAO Legion all the time, and I always get people that ask, why do I feel the need to upgrade a Legion because it's like the best already? Well, that's really not true. It's a great marketing strategy that SIG has done, and it has been tremendously successful. But the reality is I can buy a non-Legion 229 way cheaper, put some money into it, and actually make it shoot a lot better than a 229 Legion. So I'm going to prove that to you throughout this video and throughout the video series. So I understand what I feel is an improvement, and my preference is my opinion. I get all that. Everybody has their own different opinions, so I'm not trying to push my opinions and beliefs upon anybody. I'm just trying to show you, what upgrade, what you can expect if you purchase this product and put it in your pistol. Okay, I understand that a later trigger is not always better. It all depends on the function of the whatever particular pistol you're working on. Most all of mine in these videos are fun guns, competition guns, range guns, recreational guns, whatever you want to call it. It's not an EDC, CC, or home defense pistol. I got a bone stock 365 that I carry. Now, I'm not one of the ones I've tricked all out and everything, so that's the way I carry my pistol. Not any of these. These are just fun guns. So with all that being said, first we're going to start off with this Armory Craft, the Ultimate Master Spring Tuning Kit. And it's got a bunch of springs in here. It's got 4 main springs or hammer springs. I'm assuming that the one in here is a 20 pound. I'm not positive on that, but all I know is it's heavier than this 19 pound blue spring. All these are color coded. So we got a 19, 18, 17, 16 pound spring. We have a firing pin spring, a firing pin safety spring, and a Sear spring that are not color coded. And those are basically just to freshen up your pistol. It's not going to change the pull weight. It's comparable to the OEM spring that's already in your pistol. And then we have the competition Sear spring, which is purple. That one will reduce the trigger pull weight. So what I'm going to do in here is I'm going to take some readings off of the stock 229. Nothing's changed. We'll do 3 pulls on our double action, 3 pulls on our single action. Then we'll get an average and we'll write that down and we'll use that as a baseline. That way, when I put the blue spring in it, just the blue main spring, we'll do the same thing. We'll compare that to the factory, and then we'll do the green, the yellow, the red. We'll get all readings for all of those, just those springs. And then what we'll do at the end is we'll put the purple Sear spring in, and we'll do each one of these springs again so you can compare how much just that Sear spring made a difference versus just using these colored springs here. So that's what we'll do. All this stuff in this series you can find on my website, sigguy.com. Brand new website. Just moving the domain over now. That's the last thing that's got to happen. You ain't going to notice a difference. It's all up and running. So if you see anything in this series that you're interested in, jump on there, snag it. All my shipping is next morning. No questions asked. I hate waiting for stuff once I purchase it. So I make sure that everything goes out very next day. No questions asked. So with that, let's get set up and we'll get started. Okay, so let's get started with some readings. First of all, we're going to make sure we're free and clear, physically and visually check, make sure there's no round in there, no magazine, we're good to go. I use the wheeler gauge. I have the lineman as well. The wheeler, the sensor is up here in the wand itself, and the lineman, it's inside the body of the unit there. So with this one here, I've noticed the numbers are more consistent. They're not all over the place like they are with my lineman. Maybe it's my older one, so maybe it's worn out. I don't know. But this one here seems to get the most accurate readings as far as consistency. So also, there's many people that have these, and it does matter how you pull it on the trigger. I'll show you at the end how if you pull it really quick, you can really reduce these numbers. You can kind of manipulate the reading here depending on how fast you pull it. So you really want to go as slow and steady as possible. Going slower, even though it feels like it's pulling harder and harder, it's not. It's your arm probably getting tired from pulling. It's not going to increase these numbers more than the actual weight is on the trigger, okay? And I'll demonstrate the how when you snap it, it makes it lower in the end. So we're going to delete these, all the data in here. And then if this will beep if I'm going too slow. It doesn't really mess the number up, but it doesn't want you pulling on it forever. So in the middle of the trigger, slow and steady pull. We'll do three pulls and then we'll get the average. So 11 pounds, 11.0 ounces. Store that setting. 11 pounds, 6.5 ounces. We'll store that. And 11 pounds, 13.1 ounces. Gives us an average of 11 pounds, 10.2 ounces. And then we'll do our single pull, 3 pulls. So we'll delete that data. This is usually around 4 pounds, I believe, on this one. 3 pounds, 7.3 ounces. 3 pounds, 14.9 ounces. 3 pounds, 8.4 ounces. Pretty low today for some reason. It was 4 pounds earlier, but so there we go. Our average is going to be 3 pounds, 10.2 ounces. 3 pounds, 10.2 ounces. Single action. The other one was double action. So there you go. We have our readings. Now next we'll start switching out springs and we'll see how much it changes it. So I removed the grip panels and then you can see where our main spring or hammer spring is right there. What I'm going to do is I'm going to start with the blue one, which is a 19 pound, then we'll do the 18 pound green, then we'll do the 17 pound red, and then we'll do the 16 pound yellow. The super strut that the SIG Armour sells, I believe it comes with a 20 pound spring. So I'm not sure if this is a 20 pound spring that comes in this standard, but we'll be able to tell somewhat based upon what the reading of this is. But this is used too, so I can kind of skew the results as well. So very easy to remove. I basically use a screwdriver here. Be very careful not to stab yourself. We're just basically going to put it in this little notch right here. And then this seat sits in a little notch here. So we just need to push it up and pull it out, and then this will come out. Now, when I do this, it is tricky getting this strut back in behind the hammer sometimes. So I'm going to try to leave it exactly where it is. I'm not going to pull it out and move it all around. I'm just going to pull this off, put a spring on it, put it back together, get some readings, okay? So make sure that you don't slip and stab yourself here. And this can be pretty stiff depending on which spring you have in there. So, and mine, I usually use an aluminum one. These are plastic. Matrix Precision sells aluminum ones, which are pretty nice. You can get them in a couple different colors. So there's our stock spring. We'll put our 18 pound spring in there. We'll put our seat back in here. And I'm just going to kind of hold this, press it in so it doesn't kind of bow out. I'm going to push it up. And it's going to click right on, right onto those notches. Okay, so it's that easy. Do a function check. Everything works. So we have our 18 pound spring installed, or excuse me, 19 pound blue spring installed. And then we'll take some readings here. Delete our data. Get our paper. And we'll do 3 pulls, trying not to touch anything that will affect our readings. So right away we got 9 pounds, 13.4. 10 pounds, 1.2. Oops. I'm going to delete that one. The wand kind of spun around there. 10 pounds, 12.1. Gives us an average of 10 pounds, 3.5. 3.5 ounces. So right away, our first one was 11-10-2. This is 10-3-5. This is a 19-pound spring. I'm willing to bet that this is probably a 20-pound spring that came factory. So now we'll do our single action, where before we had 3 pounds, 10.2 ounces. Delete my data. And I'm not touching anything that's affecting my trigger pull. 2 pounds, 15.2 ounces. Three pounds, 7.2 ounces. And, oops. 3 pounds, 5.6 ounces gives us an average of 3 pounds, 4.0 ounces. 3 pounds, 4.0. So we went from 310 to 34. Again, a decrease. So I forgot to show you, I'm going to delete this data, and double action, right? Slow and steady. 10 pounds, 0.9 ounces. Now, if I snap this, do it quickly, I forgot to show you this in the beginning. 4 pounds, 7.6 ounces. It's clearly not a 4-pound trigger. I would love it to be a 4-pound untouched double action pull, but you can clearly see how you can manipulate those numbers judging by how fast you snap it. Okay, so that is not accurate at all. So that's why I'm saying some of these readings that people post, I already know that that's way too high. That product's not going to make it that low. It's because they're doing this way too quickly. Anyway, so now we'll change it out and we'll get the green spring put in there. Okay, so I got my green spring installed, and side note, when I was removing my blue spring from the strut factory one has sharp edges and stuff on it that actually like bite into the spring, okay? So when I'm pulling it off the strut itself, it's like you gotta pull it and then it pops off because it's biting into the spring. So I'm mentioning this because in one of my next ones, I'm gonna be doing this SIG Armour Super Strut. It is redesigned in such a way where the flat part that contacts the spring has been redesigned so that it doesn't do that. And what that adds is grittiness and stuff to your trigger. So one of the features of his Super Strut is it smooths out your trigger pull, okay? So that just reminded me when I pulled this spring off of that strut. So we have the green one in there. We're gonna do our 3 pulls, double action, same way as we did the blue. 8 pounds, 13.6. Oops, I'm not writing that down yet. So we'll enter that. 8 pounds, 15.7. And 8 pounds, 8.2 ounces gives us a total of 8 pounds, 12.5 ounces. So 8 pounds, 12.5 green. Now we'll do our single action. We'll delete that data. Oops, I'm going to redo that one. I had my finger on the spring. So 2 pounds, 14.8. 3 pounds, 2.0. 3 pounds, 3.0. So our average is 3 pounds, 1.2. And that's from 3 pounds, 4.0. So it did drop again. And obviously our double action went from 10.35 with the blue to 8.25 with the green. So switch this over to the red one, and I'll show you real quick. This is what I was talking about. So with the SIG Armour strut, that spring would fall right off. Right now it's not falling off. It's kind of captured on there. Watch when I pull it. See how kind of, it's because of the little seat. It's hard to show in this video here. But there's a couple little angles on there, and then one of them gets jammed down inside the spring. Here, kind of snap on there. And then as you're pulling the trigger, the angle of this changes. So that cuts away on that spring edge. And that's what adds grittiness and stuff to your trigger pull. So I just wanted to show you that real quick. So we'll put the red spring in this one and put it back together and get some readings. Okay, so I've got the red spring installed, and this is typically the one I use, even though the yellow one will have a lighter trigger pull. You got to remember this spring's job is basically to force that hammer forward to hit the firing pin to contact the primer to make the round go off. If you start getting too light of a spring, then the hammer doesn't have enough momentum to hit the firing pin hard enough to ignite the primer to make the round go off. So you got to kind of balance reliability with your trigger pull weight. So some of these springs and stuff you read on the internet and upgrades are for competitive shooters, range use only, stuff like that. You don't want really light trigger like this in your EDC or concealed carry pistol because it's 50-50 whether maybe that round won't go off. So just keep that in mind. In some pistols, yellow's no problem. In other pistols, it's kind of 50-50 or whatnot. And that just goes with any spring kit from any company. It's all the same. So let's take our readings. 3 double action pulls. Delete our data. We have 7 pounds 15.1. We'll enter that. 8 pounds 2.2. We'll enter that. And 7 pounds 14.5 gives us an average of 8 pounds even. So red spring, 8 pounds even for double action, and then we'll do our single action. Delete our data. 2 pounds 13.4. 3 pounds 2.9. 2 pounds 13.7. So 2 pounds 15.3. Oops, 2 pounds 15.3. So that was coming from 3 pounds 1.2 now to 2 pounds 15.3. A reduction again. So let's get our final spring in here for the mainspring, and then we'll move on to the Sear spring. Okay, so I got the yellow spring installed. So we'll do our readings, double action, delete our data. Middle of the trigger, slow and steady. 6 pounds 7.1 ounces. 6 pounds 9.1 ounces. 6 pounds 13.3, so average is 6 pounds 9.8. 6 pounds 9.8. And you can already see we originally started out with almost a 12-pound trigger. So we're almost cutting it in half already with just the main springs. So now we'll do the single action pull. We'll delete that data. £2 13.2. 2 pounds 13.1. 2 pounds 15.6 gives us an average of 214. 2 pounds 14.0 ounces. So the last one was 2 pounds 15.3. Yet again we've dropped. So we have all of our springs, all that data for the 4 springs. Now I'm going to add my Sear spring, and then we'll do this all over again really quick, and then we'll see how much the Sear spring itself adds to our weight reduction. Okay, so I'm going to show you how easy it is to change the Sear spring. I sell these tools on my website. This is where these things are worth their weight in gold. There's several different sizes depending on which pins you're pushing out on which pistols. So my Sear spring is right here. I've already disconnected it from the post. There's a little post right here that the spring goes underneath. You just kind of pry the spring out to the side. It'll snap out of there and it'll relieve the tension on the spring itself. So then I take my pin alignment tool and I'm going to go in through this side. And as I'm looking down in here, I can see the pin in between the gaps between the various pieces that it holds in. So my pin alignment tool is silver. So as I'm pushing it in, I can see to the right side of the spring, the pin alignment tool coming in there, and I can see it on the left side of the spring as well. It's probably hard to see on video here, but this is the gap on the one side. I can see this part, and on this side obviously I can see that part. So I know this pin is pushed out past my spring, and I'm going to leave it right there. So I'm going to bring my tool this way out from in between the spring, watching in between the gaps, and now I can no longer see my tool to the right side of the spring here. So there's nothing holding my spring. So I'm just going to grab a pair of tweezers or your fingers or whatever you want to do and just pull your spring right out. Everything else is captured. Nothing's going to fall out. That's where this thing's worth its weight in gold. If you pull that pin out to change this, then several pieces fall out, if not all of them. Then you got to take everything apart to put it all back together. So there's my original Sear. And I'll just take my new Sear, drop it right down inside there, just like that. And I'm going to push this pin in to capture that spring, because it's a lot easier to do it with the tool than the factory pin, like that. It actually pushes this out a little bit so I know I'm all the way through. And I'm just going to use the factory pin to push my punch out the side. Just like that. And then I'm going to use my punch to make sure my pin is pressed all the way in so my slide doesn't hit it. And then next, all we're going to do is reattach our spring. So you got the leg of the spring that's closest towards this side over here. I'm going to rotate it around, and then we're going to use the screwdriver to push it down inside, and I'm going to use my fingernail to pull it around and underneath that post. Just like that. You can see that spring is captured right underneath that post right there. And that's it. It's that easy. That's where these tools are worth their weight in gold, on SIGguy.com. So let me put this back together. I already have the blue spring in it, and we'll get some readings and compare it against just the blue spring alone. Okay, so we have the blue spring in it, the purple Sear spring. So there's 8 different combinations here because we got 4 main springs and 1 Sear spring that can reduce the pull weight. So you can do things in combination. You can do the blue with the purple, the green with the purple, the green without the purple, you know, so on and so forth. 8 different setups to tune this to your liking. So now we'll do double action pull on the blue with the competition purple Sear spring in there. 3 rounds. And remember, before we were 10 pounds, 3.5 ounces with just the blue spring with the factory Sear. 3 pulls. 9 pounds, 3.5 ounces. 8 pounds, 13 ounces. That seems kind of low. We're going to delete that one. I might have went too fast on that. Yeah, 9 pounds, 1.0 ounces. 9 pounds, 4 ounces. So 9 pounds, 2.8 ounces on the double action. Before we're at 10.35, so we've already dropped 1 pound just by changing out that one little itty bitty spring. So we'll do our single action pull. Before we were 3 pounds, 4.0 ounces. 2 pounds, 12.5. 2 pounds, 12.9. 2 pounds, 13.7. Average is 12 pounds, 13.0. Or excuse me, 2 pounds, 13.0. So again, we were 3.34 and now we're at 12.13. So about a half a pound decrease there, roughly right around there, just from that one little itty bitty spring. So let me put the green in it, then we'll do the red, the yellow, and then we'll wrap this up. Okay, so I have the green spring in it, and I just want a little fun fact here. For those of you that do YouTube and you're monetized and all that, you know exactly why and how videos are made. So most people don't realize it, but when you're monetized, you get paid by Google for minutes watch. So you don't want a 10-second video on there. You want a 10-minute video on there. The longer you keep your audience engaged, the more money you're going to make on the end. So a lot of people have the criticism, some of my videos, oh, skip ahead to the 7-minute mark. That'll be the answer or whatnot. Well, there's a lot of content, and I try to be as thorough as possible. And yeah, I talk a lot, but there's reasons for it, and there's a lot to explain. I just want to make sure that everybody understands what I'm doing, and I don't blow through a lot of this stuff. So having said that, and wasted another minute of your life, we have the green spring in here, 3 double action and 3 single action pulls. Here we go. Green spring before was 8 pounds, 12.5 ounces. 8 pounds 1.0, or excuse me, 1.1. 8 pounds 10.8. 8 pounds 9.5. Average is 8 pounds 7.1. 7.1. So 8.12 to 8.7. Again, a decrease with just the Sear spring. And now we'll do our single action pull, delete our data. 3 pulls. Before we were at 3 pounds 1.2 average. So 2 pounds 10.5. 2 pounds 10.5. I love this gauge. You get one number that's a little off. I mean, I'm not talking a lot off. It's just a little off. But the wheeler, I mean, it's like, not the wheeler, the lineman, you're like 1 or 2 pounds off. 2 pounds 6.5. So average is 2.91. 2 pounds 9.1. Where before we were 3 pounds 1.2. So again, decrease, just that one little simple spring. Let me get the red in it, and then we'll do the yellow. I'm going to waste another minute of your life. This spring here this is what I usually run, the red spring with the purple Sear spring, but the SIG Armory Super Strut. And on this one here, it might be hard to see, but you can kind of see how the spring is arched like a noodle, and then the leg of my strut is actually touching this side of the spring. Okay, so anytime there's contact with this spring, you're going to feel that through the trigger and everything with grit and stuff. So he's re-angled his, not only the angle here to not, cut into the spring, but it's angled in such a way to where the leg of his, actually, it sits like this. It's straight. See how it wants to go in like that by itself? He's resolved that. There's like 5 or 6 different things that strut does, and the cutting into the spring up here is one of them. This is another one, and we'll go over all the other stuff when I get to that point of switching this out in this gun. So we have the red spring, purple Sear spring, delete data, 3 rounds, or excuse me, I keep saying that. 3 pull. 7, 14.7, and before with the red we were at 8 pounds even. So 7 or 14.7. We'll add that. 7.14. Look at that, right on the money. Right on the money. So 7 pounds. 13.7 is our average. 13.7. And then we'll do our single action pull. 2.79, 2.13.5. That's a little bit different. 2.12.3 average. 2 pounds 11.2. And before we were at 2 pounds 15.3. So the red decreased it, not as much as the first 2, but it still decreased it. Now we'll put the yellow one in it and finish this up. Okay, so I have my yellow mainspring installed, and one other thing, the Matrix Precision, I believe it is, they sell the aluminum ones of these mainspring seats. Being a metal gun, I don't want any plastic in it. So there's only one other plastic piece in here, but I don't think there's any aftermarket support for that. It's in behind the hammer. I don't think you want metal there anyway. So they have like the anodized red, the blue, the gold, the black back then. They might make more colors now. I'm going to have to get one of those for this gun, so I just wanted to mention that. So let's do our 3 pull double action. Originally with the yellow we had 6 pounds 9.8 ounce average, 5 pounds 14.1, 5 pounds 14.7, 6 pounds 2.1 gives us an average of 5 pounds 15.6. 5 pounds 15.6 coming from 6 pounds 9.8. So that's quite a bit of a decrease again. We'll do our single action. I'm making sure that my hand isn't touching anything inside or outside that's going to affect the trigger. 3 pulls. 2 pounds 6.3. 2 pounds 7.9. 2 pounds 5.2 gives us 2 pounds 6.5. 2 pounds 6.5, and that's coming from 2 pounds 14.0. So again, quite a decrease with just that purple Sear spring compared to just using these mainsprings. Okay, so there you have it. I got all the original stuff back in here, and man, pretty tough pull there compared to that yellow spring with the purple Sear spring. So there you go. That's why I say my personal preference is my personal preference. Everybody has their own way that they want their gun, and I get it. So whenever I say something, it's based upon my personal preference. And that's why I say you can make a Legion pistol so much better. I want a lighter pull. I don't want the harder you got to pull back that trigger, the more you're moving around the gun when you're on target, and the less accurate it's going to be. So I know there's too low is not good either. That's not what I'm saying. So anything like this can increase your performance, your accuracy, everything just all lumped together. So that is just one little simple part that made that much of a difference, okay? There's triggers, hammers, the strut, like I said earlier, sport takedown lever, guide rod tuning kits, solid guide rods, weight. You can add weight to it. There's just so many things you can do to a pistol to increase its performance. And that's not saying that the gun's a piece of crap coming out of the box, and that's the way a lot of people take a comment like that. That's not what I'm saying. All I'm saying is, I've said it before, Lamborghinis, there's aftermarket upgrades for those too. You know what I'm saying? You can always make something better no matter what it is. So this is used, so I'm not going to sell this through the website, but I will do a giveaway. I'll include a pin alignment kit with this. There's 3 different size punches. Covers 365, 320, P-Series, all these different pins and stuff. So just kind of keep an eye on the website, sigguy.com. I'll add a page called giveaway or something like that, where I'll get that on there in the next couple days, and we'll figure out some kind of a contest where you guys can submit something, and then we'll pick a winner out of the submissions. So there you have it. As always, I appreciate everybody for watching. I'm glad I'm back into doing these videos, and then next we'll probably do the SIG Armor Super Strut, so you can see how much of a difference that makes as well. So thank you very much. Have a good day.